So, welcome to the Black Woman's Guide to Wellbeing. So excited to have everyone here. My name is Dr. Sherrie, Tennessee. It's still new.
Forever.
Honey, forever. I love it. I love
Thank
it.
you, Dr. Tennessee.
Thank you.
Dr. Tennessee.
Doctor.
I love it.
I've been in the wellness space for over 20 years now. Started out as a massage therapist, owned a spa, and just have continued. And my dissertation looked at wellness technology, but this was a passion project because having been in wellness for so long, we have kind of been negated out of wellness. It's not necessarily our conversation and really geared towards Black women, though when you look at the history of wellness, it comes from Black and brown people. Kemet yoga, and you look at astrology, and you look at meditation, and all of those practices come from Black and brown people. So I really want to kind of circle that conversation back around and have a focus on us. And I'll have you introduce yourself next.
Okay.
Because I want to say your name one way in my head, but that's not how you say
Always ask.
your name. And so, because I have a friend that's Andrea.
I am Andrea.
Oh, okay, then I can do with it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Because I'm
Okay,
like,
so I'm
Andrea.
Right,
Andrea.
because she always
You're
asks me, and I
Andrea.
always
Yes. I
Okay,
have
so
the
good.
accent dicky over my E.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
yes.
Because I'm always like, it's not how I think I say it, but it is. Okay, good, then I can say it. Because I'm particular about the name, and I was like, names have power and meaning, and I don't
Yes,
want
they
to
do.
butcher it.
Yeah.
So, Andrea, you're
Andrea.
next. Let's talk about your story.
Okay, so I am Andrea Simmons, and I have a ton of stories. I have a ton of stories.
We're going to talk
You
about
have a
all
full
of them.
life.
Yes,
You
I
lived a
do.
full life.
I've lived a full life. I have full children. A whole 4 of those bad boys.
God
So-
bless.
Oh my goodness. So I have a few accolades myself as
You
well.
do.
So I just like to collect those acronyms after my add another one on.
Well, we're going to swap because I'm going to go for the one you have, and you're going to go for the one that I have.
Exactly. So
In a few more years. Not yet. Not yet.
I know, and I'm going after yours. So
Yep.
yes, I'll be Dr. next. Dr. Simmons. So
For one of my favorite movies. Doctor.
So I'm looking forward to that. I am a licensed attorney, licensed in multiple jurisdictions. I also have a international business, a master's of law, which I am really looking forward to delving into with my travels. I love traveling, and so international business it just made sense to me.
Absolutely.
And I know that so many people just want to do business in the U.S., especially with the wellness, right?
Absolutely.
Bringing wellness over here, a lot of nonprofits. I have quite a bit of experience in nonprofit work on the legal side of things, and so just helping people be able to bridge that gap and helping the West finally attempt to catch up with the East, because
Absolutely.
the East is they already know what they're doing. They've been doing it for so long.
Thousands ahead of us.
Exactly. And so at
Thousands.
least we can step into, some sort of time zone that may touch a little bit of what the Eastern has already taken. And so I'm going to turn it over to Miss Beautiful Sun.
Thank you. So I love my friends because they're all big brain people. I'm not.
No, she's
Like,
like,
either one of
she downplays it. She has skills that we
That
don't
we don't even have. So you better
She
stop
makes
it.
hits.
You better
So,
stop
yeah.
it.
Don't you love them? You guys so much. Sherrie is referring to my career in music. I'm a record executive. And so I help people get their music played, and that's what I've done for them for a job, for a career. But I also have a degree in psychology, and so that has been very helpful because you resist the temptation to all the time because then you can you look fully grown, but you're sounding like a 2-year-old. Okay, let's figure out why that is, right? Wellness, it affects everybody's life, right? Because we're living under an incredible amount of stress in this country. And this is the country that we live in, and it just gets crazier and crazier every day. So and obviously, in my opinion, Black women are atlas, every single one of us, because we carry ours and, okay, you fell down, let me pick you up. And, oh, wait, hold on, that one. So it is way past time for us to circle back and refocus on our healing and our longevity, because nobody else does.
Absolutely.
No, like, people just assume. I had this conversation with my friend recently, and I'm just going to tell it really quickly because it relates to what we're talking about. So she is very similar to you. You and I are different. Calm seas, calm, right? Always just so chill and like, and I love that. I love being around that because my energy is very frenetic. It's not as bad as it used to be, but boy, I used to be bad. I'm still a little bit bad, but not as bad. And I called her out of the blue and said, hey, and she was just raging. And I was like, whoa, what happened? And so, and she was talking to her niece who called to complain about her million children, and she just had some gum surgery. And so she was the energy in the world has shifted.
Yes.
So it's affecting everybody differently.
Absolutely.
But if you're not connected to that, it doesn't care. It's still affecting you.
Absolutely.
So she's having this mini meltdown and she can't figure out where it's coming from because it's completely out of her character. And so, of course, she's like us. So she's having this meltdown by herself for a couple of days before she reaches out to anybody. And I just happened to call, hey, what's going on?
Right.
And she just let it go.
Thank goodness I can relate it.
And I was like, okay. I sat in my car because I was in front of Nordstrom. It was going to be one of those, hey girl. And then I was like, oh no, put everything down and sit and talk. And I was like, okay. And so she was like, and so called. And she was like, and I know you had that little gum surgery, but anyhow, back to me. And she was like, so I don't matter? And I said, no. Okay, so let me give you a little bit of context. You are Atlas. We have never known you to have a crisis.
Right.
We have never known you to not have your shit completely buttoned up and like
together.
We are the person and I said, so it isn't that she's insensitive or doesn't love you, but we're not accustomed to you being on the end of the median.
Yes.
Now that speaks volumes about us too, as
and the strong Black woman that is
Mm-hmm.
killing us, literally.
But even within our group, our families, that we do that to each other.
Right.
So
it's like you're the sounding board. You don't get to have a breakdown. You
but
just
you
are the
should,
sounding board. And
she's
people
right.
expect for you because
to
you always have it together. And so I know that I can come to you because you're gonna have it together,
and you're gonna fix me,
and you're gonna be able to fix me.
Yes. Wasn't that the song we're not gonna name the artist, but we were just listening to a song and he was like, "I'm broken, I'm hurt."
And we both looked around and went,
I think you need a therapist and not a Black woman. Stop thinking that Black women are your therapists and your fixers and your healers. That's not our role. Go fix yourself and come to me whole. But I think that really goes back to just culture and what you were saying about society and how you are to pour into everyone else. And, it's so funny when you watch social media now and it's like, girl, you need to take care of yourself. Say less, I already have been. I cut you off so quick.
The Irish goodbye.
I'm out.
Exactly.
I'm like, I'm glad y'all catching up. But no, I'm putting me first. Yeah. And I do have to say that was caused by a life crisis. I had a parent who passed away. And if you've lost a parent, that changes you. And especially a parent that loved you and nurtured you.
Held you down.
That you see the world differently. And I'm like, I took off the rose-colored glasses and I'm like, family, friend, foe, don't come for me unless I send for you. And I am pouring into me first and I will give from the overflow. But if there's any. But for decades, I poured from the core and made myself sick. And you wonder why we have higher cases of fibroids, why we have higher cases of high cholesterol. Like you name a condition, Black women have it
absolutely
more than any other demographic. And it's like you're supposed to just give without receiving. And that does not work for anything.
Right. Well, then the thing is, because mainly what it is that it's the energy, right? That we keep absorbing the energy like little sponges. And a sponge, how much water can you put into a sponge before it starts to seep?
and stink.
Right. And stink, right?
And degrade.
Exactly. And so you have to be able to wring that water out, right? And so then where becomes that place for us to be able to do that? Where, right? Because when you become so vulnerable and you want to let someone in, then you have the experience of being taken advantage of.
Absolutely.
Have the experience, because the last thing we want to be looked at is being weak, right?
But that's the boundaries,
right?
Not walls. So I was a wall woman. Like, okay. I'm putting the walls up and nobody can climb.
Oh, right? Yes, honey.
And so what I've learned is I'm going to take the walls down, but I have boundaries, which you can come up to. But when you cross that boundary, you better be ready for the repercussions. Because I have explained to you, this is where we are. This is what you're allowed and what I will and will not allow. And when you cross that, be ready to deal with it.
And see, I was a box woman. You got put in a box. Like, I didn't put my walls up. I put walls up around you.
Oh.
And I put you in a box. And I set you over here. Because I don't have to deal with you. I can put you in your little box. And I'll put you...
I put you on the rings of Saturn. I'm like, go sit on the rings of Saturn.
Let me ask you this. How long did it take you to get to that place where you could do that and do it comfortably? Because I think one of the other things that has taken us so long to get this lesson is that there's a certain amount of guilt that was internalized by us or embedded in us from external things, that you're supposed to feel bad if you say no to people, right? That you're supposed
I think that goes back to the Black women in the culture and the expectation. You are supposed to give.
Right.
Give.
But that's my question, because the answer is, because we all do it, right? So part of what we want to do here is talk about the solutions that helped us ascend these walls and boxes and ladders and shit. How long did it take you to decide, oh, no. I only have X, and I'm not going to feel bad about not having Y and Z. And if you come over here insisting that I should have Y and Z, I'm going to sit you right over here. How long did it take you as a person to get to that place?
Oh, it took me a good minute. It took me a good minute to get there. I was probably in my mid-30s going into my 40s when I finally was able to be like, you know what? Absolutely. I'm in control of my happiness. I'm in control of the peace that I want. I'm in control. If I allow someone else's mood, problems, issues, whatever they want to call it, affect me in a way that it starts to affect me internally.
Physically.
Physically, I got to put you in a box. I put you over here, okay? So you could sit over here till you figure things out.
Till you figure, because it's you.
It's you.
It's not me.
What about you?
I'd have to say about the same. I think when I got married about 36, so probably about 37. I was like, nah, bro, like this, I gotta take. There's a Black show that was on television, because I don't give credit to nobody because nobody's paying for marketing. And she's like, I gotta take care of me. And I was like, that's it. Like, and I just had that realization because I gave multiple chances, and I was understanding and forgiving to a fault that it depleted me. And I just woke up one day and I was like, oh no, this is it. I'm done. So probably late 30s as well. And I will say that it has continued to progress. And therapy definitely helped on setting up those boundaries, understanding some of the experiences from youth and childhood, understanding the parental dynamics and how all of that plays out. Also puts you in your place. Like I was raised in a certain time where I didn't make a decision until I was 17 and away at college. It was like, this is what you're going to do, and just go do
that. That was a lot of us.
That's a lot of us.
And you required, I think one of the things that we have that, you hope everybody else will learn or have as well, is you have to have a lot of internal courage and strength to fight against, the authorities in your life.
Absolutely.
Right? Your parents and
teachers,
right, and choosing your own
voice,
right, and choosing your own path, right,
Absolutely.
Because everybody else feel like they have a path for you that you
need to follow.
Wait a minute, I don't remember contributing to your path. I don't remember letting you know, hey, this is what I think that you should do.
Now, I will give my parents credit on that. That was never a conversation. They were like, you have two choices. You can either go to the military, which God bless and thank you for your service, but that's not my life, or you go to college. And so it was, you're going to go, we just want you to be able to care for yourself. So it wasn't the, you need to do this. I will say, and I just had this conversation.
It was the 2 options though.
It was, but at least you got options though.
It kind of was.
You got options.
It was an either or.
You got options.
They knew you weren't built for the military. They knew you weren't built for the military.
And my family is also highly educated. Like when people talk about first generations, and I know we're going to dive into that with you. Like I had 90-year-old great aunts that went to college, right?
That is commendable.
My grandfather went to college.
I'm sorry, can we pause for a second?
Mm-hmm.
Can you pause this for a second? Thanks, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to take those jingly off.
I thought so.
Yeah, the sound in the background is a lot. It's just going to be too much.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
That's what I'm trying to do. Okay.
So I knew education was my way. My father was an educator. I had nurses and all kinds of people. So I gravitated towards that anyway, but it wasn't like you have to go to this school, which parents do say,
Mm-hmm.
or you have to have this major, which parents do say.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, here are your 2. You're probably going to go towards one, and then you figure out what it is that you need to do. So I tend to have the same conversation with my son. I have my preference, which was, or kind of is, interest.
Oh my goodness.
Because Sandra knows my son is bougie. He is high demanding. He wears.
I think they're coming out like that, honey.
But he's also size 15 shoes. So you need to make money.
We need to own the fact that they are who they are because of us.
Oh,
I contributed to that highly.
Like 99.9.
On that sword.
Like 99.999.
No, because
yes, ma'am.
my youngest.
Say?
Well, I mean, I guess I don't.
Listening. Go ahead, mama. Go ahead. You said what? Well, what I was saying was, yeah, because we were all invested in giving our children a different experience.
Right.
Because that still comes back to the wellness.
Creating what we didn't have, right? Making it better for our
them.
children. Yes.
Like the number one thing for me that I think I can, the gift that I gave my daughter outside of life and I think a healthy environment to grow up in is she had a voice.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought she was going to be a litigator.
It's
No,
not
I
too
did.
late.
Hey,
It's not too late.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're right. I'm not the
She
school.
might pop up
I'm
one
not
day
the
and be
school
like,
one. Y'all are, and she is too. She's in school right
I
now.
went to law school in my late 30s.
See?
So.
Okay. I'm sorry. So
I got a PhD much later than that.
Okay,
So
you guys are correct. And so I would always explain to her, because she was like, and it's not, and that's not fair. Listen, let's talk about this. And I would sit and say, okay, tell me. And I think, this is not fair. And express yourself. And do you feel better? Yes. Okay, now please go do what I said.
actually do.
No. I allowed you to speak. You said everything was on your heart. I acknowledged that you had points that made sense, but you are 4.
And there are rules that you're going to have to just do.
That you just, and please go do what I said. This is just not fair. No, let me tell you, I never had a voice. Nobody ever asked me what I wanted. Did I like it? Did I agree? What did I like to have for dinner? Here's your dinner. Go to bed.
Yes.
So, it took a while.
If you don't eat what's on the table, then
you're not leaving.
You ain't eating.
Or you're not eating for the rest of the night. So
I'm a picky eater, and there were many a night.
I had food autism.
I still do have food autism. I do. Like, know me? I take risk in every part of my life, but not food.
So I always forget. I'm always like, do I eat this? Don't eat that. Who bought this? I don't have that either. I'm sorry. You pick. I eat everything. But all of that, I don't think people think about that as contributing to wellness.
Mm-hmm. It's true,
and I believe that it is. Right?
It is. But then think about what it does for your child too, right? Mm-hmm. My daughter said to me the other day, she said, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and I said, my parents really believed in giving us what they didn't have growing up. Mm-hmm. She was like, I remember coming home from school on a random Wednesday, bed full of clothes, new shoes. Why? Because our mom had a shopping problem. Yeah, I did. Just love to shop. Didn't matter when. Didn't have to be a reason. Just, today I feel like going shopping. So I'm going to go shopping. And I'm going to buy something. And if I'm going to buy something for the girl, because the girl always got sales, right? But if I come in the house with all this stuff for the girls, and then the 3 boys that are there have nothing.
It's gonna be a problem.
It's kind of unfair.
It's gonna be a problem.
So now I'm gonna go shopping for a couple hours, get a couple things, have turned into an all-day shopping until the kids get out of school, and I got everybody something, so that everybody can be happy, right?
That's therapy.
And so, right, and oh my goodness, it was the best therapy ever. However, she said, and I love the fact that my parents did that. She was like, my parents didn't travel, but they made sure that we traveled. She was like, and instead of my parents using it, because we hear this a lot, well, I didn't have it, so they're fine.
No.
I didn't get it, so they.
I have
if they want it, they can get it for themselves.
That way,
right? And it's like,
about my child, and I'm like, just because you didn't doesn't mean that he can't.
Exactly.
I was always taught, like, you're to do better for the next generation. The exposure. I remember even going on a date with a gentleman, and I was like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, well, he sounds spoiled. And I was like, no, I think the word you're looking for is exposed. It's exposure.
It's a different perspective.
We were talking about the French, right? So your daughter is had majored in French. And my son came to me and he was like, I wanna take French as a language. And I was, in my head, I'm like, why? What? Okay. Not? And so we went to Paris a couple of years ago, and we went to this cute little town. We walked around. There's a train. And he's like, I loved it so much that I think I want to move back there, and I need to speak French. And so that just tickled my heart, because I'm like, you got to have that experience. You got to see beyond your backyard.
Right.
And just, have those experiences. But I also think for me, there is this level of acknowledgement and appreciation. So I don't have a problem saying, like, thank you for this, and I appreciate you, and you add to my life in all the ways, because I know I need to fill his vessel as well, and I know that he doesn't have a fully developed frontal cortex, so there is still time to be able to help mold and create and give that. And I mean, our parents did the best that they could with what they have, and a lot of grace and a lot of forgiveness around that, but knowing, like, I do want him to rise higher. And I think a lot of times there's this thought of, I can't make more than my parents have. I can't go further than what my parents have. And I never wanted that to be an impact or my shadow cast over him. Like, I love education. If he doesn't, that's okay. There's no judgment. You figure out your path, because you want a certain high-end luxury truck and you want a villa in France. And those are not my dreams. So I'm not buying those. And so if that's what you want, you gotta pay for it.
Well, what's nice is that you gave, and you as well, Sandra, you did the same for your daughter as well, is that you gave your son a broader perspective.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Right? Yes. Because with us, we only had the perspectives that our parents gave us.
Yes.
And so that's the only perspective that we could look through. It's the only lens that we could kind of look through, unless we chose to seek beyond that. I know at age 4 years old, I already knew it was a doctor, it was a nurse or a lawyer. That was it. That was, and where it came from, I don't know, because as you spoke about earlier, first generation, my grandparents didn't graduate high school. My parents didn't graduate high school. I'm number 5 out of 6. All of my siblings before me, none of them graduated high school. They did get their GEDs, but they didn't graduate high school. And it's like, I was like, oh no, I'm graduating high school.
We got plans.
I'm graduating high school.
And I'm going to go to college too.
And I'm going to college. So I had my oldest when I was in high school. I had him my 12th grade year. I had him the day after my birthday, and I graduated that June. So my birthday's in April. I graduated that June. I started college in August.
Absolutely. But I think
nobody knew.
There's also, I think, an internal drive in each of us, having known you kind of behind the scenes and off the camera. There is this thing, I feel like, but it also, I feel like, is what connects us together, is we don't necessarily... Oh, I'm going to choose my words rightly, because what comes to mind is lazy, but maybe that's not the word.
Maybe Kim K. Okay, Kim. Easy with that word nowadays.
It's not.
Ain't nobody lazy. They're just over-traumatized and can't see options.
Or not knowing which direction is the right direction. And I knew in 10th grade, I was like, I want to be a biologist, and this is what I want to do. And I went and I became a biologist and did a whole bunch of things. So I think, but I didn't have a lot of those voices telling me that I couldn't as well. So I think sometimes I was blessed to have that direction early. Not everyone has that.
Right.
And figuring it out. And I think we also have this issue of, I'm going to do this for the next 60 years. That's not life.
Oh, no.
I'm on like my 17th career.
Oh,
But you know what? Let me just interject.
People are like, what haven't you done?
Let me interject on that one though. But that's because the times have changed.
They have.
You know, I was talking to this young gentleman that he found me on LinkedIn, and I like him so much because he's a young person who's very proactive. Right?
Mm-hmm. So maybe that's the word.
He
is
called
proactive.
me up and he was like, our paths are similar. I would love to talk to you. And so we become friends. When I go to LA, I check him out and I try to recommend that he do this and he do that. But young people are having, like, the world has changed so much for our children and the even younger ones, right? We came from.
I have a question. While you're
I feel like that's changed for us too because there's no pensions. Go ahead.
Don't even go to So,
and you could work 50 years.
Is it so much that it's changed, or the perspective of the collective has changed?
No, it has changed.
Right. And I get that it has changed, and it had to change. And the perspective of the collective had to shift as well, right? Because even though the world changed, people could still have the mindset, I'm going to work this. I'm going to work until I'm 60 years old, and that's it, right? However, the collective had to also make that shift in their change in their mindset. We had to make a change from what our parents thought. Mm-hmm. Because the world changed. However, we could have still had the same mindset as our parents and said, well, it's much safer to just stay in a job for the next 60 years.
Except for those don't exist.
They don't exist anymore. You can't even have that.
So, yes. But I think that's also a part of the struggle that young people are having, like between, say, just for example, your mother, you, and your kids, right? Mm-hmm. That's 3 generations that have had radically different experiences.
Oh, yes.
You know, they could have bought a house with $30,000.
Easily.
You can't even have a down payment. A car. Anymore, right? Exactly. So when we come from I don't understand these young people, I think you need to try a little bit harder to look and see that they're not living in the same world that you lived in for your children.
Exactly.
Like my daughter said to me, it didn't hit me because, again, I'm of a certain age and my experience is what it was. And she just casually said one day, she goes, let me just let you know, we are not under any illusions that we are going to have the type of careers and the opportunities that you and Dad had. Mm-hmm. She said, I'm never going to be able to buy a house short of being cast in a movie that pays me $5 million or winning the lottery. Yeah. She goes, there is no path today for you as a professional, because you're going to go to school and it's going to cost you $300,000 to then be able to come out and have enough time to build what you've built. Mm-hmm. You came out of college and got a job and got a promotion, got another promotion and moved and got another promotion. She goes, everything is a gig economy now. Yeah. People have 7 jobs, no insurance, no benefit. You know, so back then, and I was explaining to this young man that I was telling you guys, I was talking one day and I was like, pension. And he was like, what's that?
Those days are over.
Yes. And I was like, oh, he's like, what's a pension?
Right.
And I said, oh, so 100 years ago, you worked at a company and you stayed there for 40 years or 50 years, they would throw you a party when you retired. You would have a pension and you'd get a gold watch. Yes. And he did that. He started laughing. He was like, really? What?
Yes. It's almost like watching Fred Flintstone and you used to pat on your feet with
all the time that you put up in this company.
Wow.
Give you a gold watch.
And I said, yeah. And so people would retire and they would have their Social Security and they would have their pension. And so you would live your golden years. You didn't have to worry. There's no homelessness. There was no. That is.
But you could afford to live. Let's talk about the fact that you could afford to live with a Social Security and a pension.
But these people had children. They raised families on that.
They paid for college tuition.
Yes.
You could buy a house from Sears and Roebuck for like $10,000.
You could buy a house. So when we look at young people today and we criticize them, what are we criticizing them for? I would always say we destroyed the future for our children. We allowed these greedy people, because it's been nothing but greed. There is no shortage of anything on this planet
at all.
But people are hoarding resources.
And it creates a scarcity mindset.
Which creates trauma, which creates psychosis, which then, as we're talking about wellness, it is such a difficult thing to stop and focus on you because you're Fred Flintstoning it.
You're in survival mode.
We are constantly living in survival mode. And that's not just us, that's our children too.
Yes.
Because the trauma that we are experiencing, energy is energy.
Right.
It is.
And when your energy is off, your kids know immediately.
Right.
Absolutely.
What's wrong?
Mom, what's the matter? You okay?
Yes. And I know when theirs is off too.
Absolutely.
Of course.
And you guys have you have the one. I got
you got four.
I got four.
So your monitor has to be up.
Man.
You
and
zoning.
It's like, oh. Okay, something's going on. No, I'm good. No, you're not.
No.
You're not good. I know you're not good.
Let's talk about
Let's
that.
have a conversation about it, right?
But think about how many people don't have that.
Yes.
It's true.
Yes.
I mean, and there's a video that's going around, and a woman is like, well, I wish I'd never had you. And I'm like, imagine the trauma of that. Does that need to be said? That kid is going to carry that for the rest of their life, that you didn't want me.
People underestimate, I believe, part of the problem for us Black women. And I know somebody out there is going to go, all women. Okay, all women. But we're speaking
about
Black women. So I do apologize that might offend you. But Black women, whereas the white sisters will fall down in a puddle of tears and the world has ended and somebody is coming to rescue them.
No one is coming to rescue
that because we're not going to, first of all, we're not going to behave that way.
Oh, no.
Because
we don't have that luxury of fall down, someone is going to come pick me up. Even going back, if you even look at like HBCUs and there was a whole study that was done about sororities and how white sororities are very different from Black sororities. Black sororities really were to uplift, and still are, right? But they really were to support the community. You could go to events by yourself, right? And that it was a lifelong sisterhood for the rest of your life. You had this support. Whereas white sororities, it was about getting a husband.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. And as soon as you left college, that membership disbanded. You couldn't be 40 years old and come back on campus and still want to be a part of that.
It was fun.
So culturally, it's been very, very different for Black women. And because there was no one coming to rescue us, we weren't going to be able to be stay-at-home wives in the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s,
ever.
You get it a little bit more, but still, we understand that we don't have that luxury of, someone is going to come and sweep me up, or someone's going to come. It's like, no, I'm laying up at 3:00 in the morning. Okay, so if I do this and I can shift over here and make this, I think that is contributing to that whole strong Black woman, and just knowing that there's no one coming to rescue us.
Yeah, and that's true. And recognizing, so I am married. I've been married. However, my husband has been out of the country for over half of our marriage.
Wow.
Over half of our marriage. And actually a very significant
but probably that might be the success of it,
right?
Too,
And that's what I always tell people. People are like,
I completely agree.
People are like, how do you do it? And I said, baby, how do you do it? With somebody in the bed with you all the time. You gotta do them every day.
I tell everybody I want a husband who does not live at my house.
You can
listen. That's my god sister. My god sister say, how do I sign up for that?
I want that package.
I want that one. Because what's also funny is that the money comes home. And then he just takes what he needs and he's like, here's everything.
Because that is a man who understands what his role is. He's not coming with this nonsense about what you bring to the table and we doing 50-50. Yes, we're doing 50-50, but no, that you don't have to announce that because it's one giant pool.
Yes, right. However, what's also interesting though, because what I was getting to stay on topic is that I was married. Yeah, I still was like, nope, go. Leave. I got this. I will handle this. 4 kids. I went to law school. My husband was not even in the country.
Yeah. Okay, well, we already established that you are a very strong woman, and we love that about you.
Thank you. With 4 kids. But I'm just saying, did I have to do it like that? No, I could have been like, no, honey, I need you home. I need you here with me every night. And we gonna struggle, but that's okay. Because in the end, we're gonna end. And I was like, no, boo, you go.
Oh, get it.
I don't have to work. I can just go to school. Okay, yeah. You go. This is a sacrifice, right? However, always being willing as a woman, as an African American woman, as a Black woman, as a woman of color, to just say, you know what? I will make the sacrifices that are necessary because I'm looking at the scale and I'm balancing the scale and I'm trying to see, you know, like my husband missed like most of our youngest sons, like a whole upbringing because he wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
And, however, I was just like, okay, you still gonna respect your dad. Just we had to work through that, but
right.
it was a stranger. Yeah, it was different, and he was not having it. And he was like, "Why do I have to listen?" What? Yes, you gotta listen to what your daddy say. The dog didn't even want to listen to me. The dog would be like,
"Because you're the boss.
Yeah,
you're alone.
I'm alpha, right?" The dog is like, "Do I gotta listen to me?"
This ninja. Where'd this ninja come from?
I'm like, he's the one that's putting food in your mouth. You better listen to him,
exactly.
right?
It's a team effort. I'm the figurehead, but this is the one behind the scenes making it happen. But you make a good point about the sacrifice. But I think what I know is you do have to make sacrifices, but there has to be some sort of balance.
Yes.
Or I'm going to do this now with the intention of this is what's going to happen in the long term. Yeah. But there has to be some way as you're making that sacrifice that you are refilling and that you're taking care of and that you're getting that support from your tribe. And we talk about like kids need tribes, adults need tribes.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't know what I would, Sandra, the prayers I was saying for you all week, and just like she had the most precious thing I own in this whole world, which is my child.
I knew the weight of that, so I picked him up from school one day, and we had just because I treated him like, you know, an auntie would. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to eat fast food. Let's go get it. Your mom ain't here. Ain't no rules right now, right? What you want? Whatever you want. What you want? And we went. We got fast food. We came back. He had just eaten, and like clockwork, the text appeared. I said to him, "Your mom is texting me." So I didn't forget. He went to school.
I had no worries about that at all.
Yeah, I
wanted to make sure he was on his. He was on his best behavior. I wasn't worried about her.
Oh, he wasn't with you. Of course he was on his best behavior.
To the next level.
Polite.
To the next level.
He wasn't with you. You get the attitude.
I do.
Exactly.
I do.
But I did understand that. And, you know, I was happy to do it. And so I was telling my daughter, I'm a little bit nervous. You know, McCoy is saying, she's like, "Oh, you got that, Mom. You got it." And I said, "No, I know. But I know what that means to his mom, right? Like she needs to go and she needs to focus because this is a really important interview. But it is never an easy thing to leave your child behind, right? And so when I picked him up from school that first day, I was like, "Look, I know you could have stayed home by yourself."
we all know this.
But in your mom's eyes, you're 3.
Yeah.
I just don't want my house to burn down either. And him and the dog be arguing
because a 3-year-old will burn down
a house, right?
But wait a minute, makes the house smoky today. It's not a 3-year-old. I come in and I'm like, "What's burning?" "Oh, I don't know." "Oh, I cooked something too long." Bruh, this is your house. Can you take care of your house? I don't know about something.
But I have a question. Let me get back to this. I have a question. So you did it because we have your beautiful daughter here as our engineer.
Yes, thank you so much.
She's phenomenal. I haven't met your sons. They sound phenomenal. You are exactly what we're talking about. A Black woman who's doing everything. You weren't really, but you were kind of, because physically his presence wasn't there. And I know boys in particular require the presence of their father. So I know that you are a strong parent because you have 3 boys that are grown and respectful and y'all have great relationships. What was that like for you having to be the single parent, for lack of a better
I call myself the married single mom.
Yeah.
And people will look at me like, I'm like, no, it's a real thing. I'm the married single mom.
How did you navigate that?
And so
and kept your sanity,
Right. So one of the biggest things I had to recognize, one, my daughter was my sanity. I swear. Like the heavens parted and descended and let her. And I was like, thank goodness, because I would have lost it. If it had just been them 3 boys. Woo,
boys, that was always the balance.
And if the last one would have came first,
you would have.
I would have been like y'all. I'd have been like y'all. I want it done. And so what ended up happening is that I knew, so one, as a woman, we have to recognize the type of man that we want to see, and then ensure that our sons
absolutely
are growing up to be that way. Because guess what, Mom? How you treat your son is how he's going to be presented to the world.
Rest of the world.
And so my son, I had to be the disciplinary. I had to put down the foot. So my kids say I ruined them because they got like coddled and hugged up till about 4 or 5. And then I was like, okay, you can sit here, but we have couch separators for a reason. So this one is my cushion and that one's your cushion. And we could sit here and we can watch TV together. Because I was just like, yeah, I don't want a son that's a coddler. I did allow my kids to cry. So if they cry, I told my boys all the time, listen, let it go. It's pent up frustration. If you keep holding it on, it's going to turn into something else. And so, however, my youngest, anger management, needed it at 1.5. Do you hear me? And when I told the pediatrician, he did not, he was like, no, I've never heard of that. I said, listen, doctor, I'm going to tell you. He needs anger management. He's like, he's 1.5. I said, I know. That's why I'm telling you that he needs, I'm telling you, one eye looking this way, the other one is going that way, right? Kids thought he was possessed, right? They're like, Mom, I swear something is wrong with Mikey. Like, did you see him? And he got this rage and he would just start shaking. And I'd be like on the phone with my husband, like, look, I know you ain't got no reception, but this one is about to be in a hot ship to you. We're not gonna do this. We're not gonna do this, right? And so, however, what I knew that I had to do is, one, I had to demonstrate to them that it's possible. Look, we're a team. We got to do this. We got to do this because right now Dad is out and he's providing for us. And do you see the things that we get to do? Well, that's because he's out and he's providing for us. So if you guys want to continue this, then this is what we have to do. We have to be a team and we have to work together as a team. And so that's kind of how it came about, is helping them understand they still went through their man periods. They still are going through their man periods, right? And so there's still the up and a down. However, my daughter helped be like the second enforcer. Yeah. She was like the second enforcer, and she would take her brothers and she would have conversations with them. And even to this day, she will take her brothers out separately and have conversations with them and just help them, mentally with whatever they're going through. And so that was truly a blessing.
That is tremendous. That is, because not everybody that has 4 and 5 siblings necessarily enjoy that,
right?
And necessarily are close to those siblings. I mean, I'm not.
You can have siblings and still not be.
But I also let her naturally create that for herself, right? As opposed to making it feel like it was a job.
Something like you push
well, like, I can't do this. I'm going to need your help, type of thing. I'm not taking care of this. Now, we did blame the kids for not teaching the youngest how to ride a bike. Or tie your shoes. You know how to tie your shoes in Scouts. But we was like, how do y'all brother not know how to ride a bike? We're blaming the kids. How do your brother not know how to ride a bike? All of y'all know how to ride a bike, but your brother don't know how to ride a bike? What's wrong with y'all?
Teach him to ride a bike. Well, I was also that one who didn't ride a bike. But I was a nerd, too, so I didn't want to ride a bike. I was like, I'd rather be in the house. I'm going to be like,
dissecting things.
Get on the bike and go ride. And I would ride around the block and come back. And she'd be like, no. Go outside again.
Because one of the things that my kid didn't really do, I tried, but she wasn't really interested in it, is being outside playing.
Oh, my kids
these
loved
kids,
it.
oh my gosh.
We had a quarter acre in our backyard. They were out there. They were on the trampoline. But they had kids to play with.
They had themselves. Yes, they had each other. No, mine, like she called me a couple days ago, FaceTimed me. Actually, she was over by the old house that her and her dad used to live at in LA, and the little park that she used to go to and always get brought home because she was he would always snatch her up.
Oh wow. Not playing well with the kids.
She's always been a boss. She's always been a boss. She's a Pisces.
Oh,
she's
yes.
a little bossy.
Yes.
Leader. She's a leader.
Yes,
She's a leader.
We
She's a
talk.
boss leader.
She's a boss woman. Before there was such a term.
But like this makes my heart so joyful because I see the difference that all of us have made in the next generation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I wish that for everybody. I wish that for, because there's a lot of young folks who don't have any direction. They don't have, they're like, I was explaining to my daughter one time that I have a theory that a lot of parents are in competition with their children.
Absolutely.
And like it was a light bulb moment for her. It is very sad. But I said, Devin, I've always held this opinion because I don't know about other cultures. I know about the Latin culture. I know about the Black culture. And both of these cultures will tell you in a heartbeat, well, so-and-so went through that. So what's your problem?
Right.
And it's like, but what?
Right.
But trauma is not a birthright.
No,
I can't.
It's not a rite of passage. It's not a passage.
If we could pass over it, that would be even better. But I think that goes back to the point I made earlier that you're saying is like, there's this, you can't do better than me.
Right.
There's a problem.
It's competition.
And you can't make more and your house can't be bigger. And it's like, but why? I can come live with you.
Right. Like because of the jealousy that's there.
Yes.
Because of, and I
maybe
explained to her,
self-sacrificing the trauma that I think some parents live their life. They couldn't live their life, so they live it through their children. And would come with the expectations, and you have to do this, and the confines, and
that
all of those different expectations. And I'm like,
I had to explain that to her as well because she's chosen the craft of acting. Kudos. I think they're the strongest psychotic people on the planet.
Well, I mean, that level of rejection on a consistent basis,
they're delusional.
Imagine.
And I laugh. So, we were casting for the sizzle that we created of the movie idea that we have. And I was super excited because there were a lot of people submitting. And I was like, oh my, this is great. And she's like, Mommy, calm down. They're actors. They're all desperate. She goes, I bet you there's 5 or 6 people that don't fit any of the description that you put in there. And they're submitting. Go back and check. I was like, hater. I went and I looked and I was like, you don't even fit one description. So to her point, actors are delusional. They're completely delusional. So they'll do any and everything, but you need to have that kind of Teflon skin to cast people. Yes. Which is, and I always tell her, you guys are so interesting because you're strong and you are psychotic at the same time. It's like, it is such a fascinating, personality dynamic that exists there. But, kudos, go do. So, one day she was in her feelings or whatever, and she was just like, I just don't think you and Daddy pushed me enough. And I said, I'm sorry. Let me explain something to you. I have never one day lived my life vicariously through you.
Ever. Anything
you ever wanted to do, I was there to support, but that's your choice. I'm not going to force you to go do it. I was never a stage mom, and did I not want to be a stage mom? You said you wanted to do it, and we would trot off with you. And when we made suggestions, because I distinctly remember the time I said, there's a lot of people doing makeup tutorials on YouTube. Your response was, I'm a real actor. I'm not doing that. And I stood down.
Say less.
So no, ma'am. Don't come to me and saying that I'm not the reason why you're not successful. I've had a full career.
And on that,
doing what I want to do. What do you want to do? So she promptly apologized. So you know what? You're right. Yeah, no, I know you're frustrated that your career hasn't popped yet, but you're going to get out of it what you put into it.
Absolutely.
I don't want it.
That's life.
It's for you.
I think that's wellness as well, is like what you put into it and how you customize. And one of the things we were going to talk about is, what does wellness mean to you? Because it is an individual experience. And so wellness to someone might mean getting getting your nails done, getting your hair done. To other people, wellness might be a full energy session and just sitting down there in the vibrations of meditation.
Absolutely.
It really is this individualized experience, just like our lives are. And so there's not this code or like this blanket of I'm going to wrap this around me and it's going to be it's a perfect fit. It really is, how do you customize your life? How do you customize your effort? How do you customize your wellness experiences to be able to bring that forth so that you can show up as this overflowing vessel?
Yeah.
So I'll pose like a last question for today. What does wellness mean to you?
So wellness means to me, like you said, I'm all about the energy, the vibration, right? What frequency are you on? However, it has a lot to do with the mental mindset that you're in, because with meditation, with those things, which by the way, I meditate every day for an hour, meditated, of course, before I came here, every single day for an hour. My daughter's finally caught on and she's like, Mom, this is absolutely beautiful. I can't believe, she's like, I don't meditate for as long as you do. And I said, it doesn't matter, right? It's not a competition. It's not how long can you meditate. It's just taking the time to quiet the mind and allow yourself to remember who you are.
Oh, that's beautiful. Can you say that again?
It's about taking the time to allow the mind to remind yourself of who you really are, right? And so that's what it's about. That's what meditation is about. And so some people are like, well, there's no way I could just sit and be quiet and just do nothing. Okay, well, do you sit and just zone off sometimes into space and you're not really thinking about anything, right? Then that can be your meditation. It's just allowing yourself to remember who you are, right? Taking that time. And so that's what I like to do, that on a daily basis, because when you face in this world and the things that are in this world, and we started with the shift that has happened in this world that a lot of people are not recognizing. And so people are going berserk. They're going absolutely bonkers. And you have to deal with these people who are going absolutely bonkers on a daily basis. And so therefore, and the chaos, right? And so how can you mentally make it through this without some sort of preparation? And so that's what I do. I prepare my mind every day so that I can be ready to present who I am to the world.
I love it. I love it. Sandra, I pose the question to you.
One of the greatest gifts I've given myself is that I live alone.
Okay.
My child is grown. She lives in LA, and I delight in living alone in my space. I get asked a lot of times, because I've been divorced longer than I was married, right? She was 3. She's not. It's been a lot of years. And I've never really, I was like, yeah, one child, one marriage, I'm good. I enjoy my quiet time. And I've finally figured out, because people talk about how bad COVID was, and it was for people who died and all that. But the solitude and the isolation was a gift for me.
It was a gift to all of us.
Yes.
But I recognize that it was a gift.
They didn't
a lot of people
they didn't recognize it. It was a gift to all of us, right? But everybody didn't recognize it.
And so I think being a middle child, I'm also kind of like an only child, because a lot of middle children are like, the top and the bottom, and what's her name? Well, what's his name in the middle, right? So being a middle child, for real though, right?
I know,
for real. As my mom used to say, you.
Is that my name?
And she's calling you the wrong name. That's not I know who you are. Well, apparently you don't. You just called me the wrong child. So I enjoy being a middle child. I enjoy the solitude, and I'm good by myself. So I just until your son came to hang out for a couple of days, I hadn't left my house in 3 days. Literally had not left the house in 3 days. And I was giggling about the fact that I could do that. Yeah. So at this point in my life, I feel like wellness to me is my solitude and my ability to literally, not just figuratively, shut the world out and not interact with any kind of energy that I don't want to deal with. And that mindset, it's caused me a lot of problems, because it gets labeled this and it gets labeled that, but I do not make myself available to things that I don't want to do it.
I love that.
Absolutely.
Like, my gift to myself is I don't care who you are. And she is the most sacred thing to me, my kid is.
Mhm.
If you're coming crazy, I'm shutting the door on you too. I fight for my peace. I fight for tranquility. I fight to sit around my house and talk to myself, and nobody responds.
I love it.
So that, like, I think it's so important, and I'm not ever giving that up. To the point that I'm trying to buy a house in another
place.
country and
Country. Oh,
and be there by myself too.
I'm coming, honey. You ain't gonna be there by yourself. You
Oh,
going?
no.
Oh, we will be there.
Oh no, I'm
Guess
already
what we
mapping
do?
out.
Guess
where-
what we do? We keep our passports ready. Boo.
We do.
We keep them ready. We keep them
Loaded.
ready. Yes.
Passports
yes.
loaded.
Yes.
Ready.
Running out of pages. Is
that
what
is what wellness means to me, and I suggest everybody fight for that. And most importantly, I learned something from my friend who's an attorney. I would ask her to do me favors, and the first thing she would say is, "When do you need this by?"
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Asking correct questions
Mhm.
allows you to not feel like you have to say yes
Right.
to people because they're friends or family or whatever. And I don't do that either. And I've never been a yes person, but I know that a lot of people have the disease to please. And, that sort of kind of fascinated me because I don't have any problem saying, no, I'm
No, I
not doing
can't
that.
do it.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not
With the
doing it.
quickness. No,
Mhm.
I'm not
I
able.
can't.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not.
Mhm.
I'm not willing.
I can't,
And-
but I won't.
I'm not gonna give you a reason because
I don't have to.
No is a
I-
sentence.
It is a complete
No. I'm
Period. No.
No.
Period.
Done.
That's it.
That's it.
It's over.
no.
It's over. But I
Know
also
what?
think that
No.
Well, you're a little bit different though. I think you kind of came out the womb a little bit elbows and like she throwing bows
Let's go.
like out
Let's
the
go.
womb like
Let's
I'm
go.
not doing that. I'm not.
Probably right.
And
Probably right.
I definitely, let's talk. I did an event, what was it?
Upward bound.
Upward Bound, thank you. And there was a young lady in the audience, and she came up to me, and I was like, oh, this is me. When I was like 16, she was quiet and just unsure, and but you saw the spark, you saw the shine that she showed up. She was there, she was giving. She's a freshman asking questions, came up. And it was like this evolution that we have to be able to get to this stage of no.
Mm-hmm.
And move on, right?
Hard.
Yeah.
And the
It's
boundaries,
hard.
and
It's
putting
hard.
you put them in a box. I put them on the rings of Saturn, like,
Yeah.
and I'll hop up there with you and be like, "Let me tell you what,
Hey, you okay?
no,
I'm leaving.
I'm done. Let me explain to you, and don't come back. And then I'm gonna hop off the rings of Saturn and come on back, but you're gonna stay there.
Yeah.
But that does take time, and it takes
And culturally, you had to fight that culturally.
I think also it wears us down. It breaks our hearts. It's the level of disappointment and the expectation that people are going to show up for us the way we show up for others. My auntie mentor here was like, don't give if they don't ask. Like, why are you trying to give? Because they haven't asked for your help. And that was such a like, and I'm a grown woman, right? That wasn't 10 years ago. That was like last year. And I was like, ouch. I mean,
Yeah.
but it was a wake-up call.
As Michael Jackson would say, but with the love. With the love. No,
I mean,
but with the love.
what you need-
Because Sherrie is...
I'm a giver.
Oh my goodness.
And I think that also just comes from like, okay,
Please.
well, a little bit of that, but just seeing people struggle, and sometimes they need to struggle, and knowing like sometimes that's your door that's going to get you to where you go, and I can't help you anymore because that's your journey and you need that struggle. You have to come out of that cocoon and do it on your own, because if you pull the butterfly out the cocoon, it will never fly.
Yeah, it's gonna die.
And so understanding that, but I think that does go back to just childhood experiences and youngest child and blended family and just, all those different dynamics where it's like, oh, what are you going to do? Like, you need to show up for me, not necessarily show up for you, but being able to do those things. And to look at some of your points, I know you're a big walker. And so it doesn't always, I commend you for the hour meditation. My mind is like,
I'm so envious.
I am. I did meditate on the plane ride back. I was like, I'm not looking at the screen. I put my good music on and just was like, I'm vibing. I'm looking out at the city and the skies and the clouds.
I can't do an hour because I fall asleep.
But that's okay because that's a sleep meditation.
Yes, it's
you relax your body so much.
Yes.
For me, I think it goes back to healing the inner child.
Right. And so this posing the question to you, what does wellness look like to you, right?
For me, like my ultimate day is usually a Sunday of I'm going to meditate. I'm going to do my journaling. I read my affirmations every day. But one of the things I love so much is coloring. And so I have a variety of coloring books.
What?
My mandalas, like your lovely new edition. And I will sit and just color and their affirmations that you're coloring. And
that is so brilliant.
My daughter does this.
I love it.
My daughter loves to color.
And one of my girlfriends just got me a PhD coloring book, right? Who knew it existed?
Oh my God.
I was like,
I know you were.
This is a coloring book? Oh my God.
And so that point is brilliant because I just love y'all. But I love that you reminded me that walking, and I can't miss that.
Yeah,
that is your meditation.
I get
so
crazy
the way you
when I
get up
miss
and walk
walking.
4 miles is her hour meditation. And I think that's the perfect point. It's like we're all jealous of you being able to sit still and lay for an hour. That is not my life.
I don't think a Libra could do that.
We can't. There's just 700 thoughts going around in our head. But it's what can you do that brings that peace and calm. I can't sit for an hour, but I will journal. I will color. I will read my affirmations. I'll do my 15-minute meditation and my colors and my face mask. We're going to kill several birds at one time, right? So I got the face mask on. I got the meditation music on. I got my feet in the foot massager. I got the back massager going. And I'm sitting still for 15 minutes, right? And I got to, ring it on back in. We're here. But that's it. And for me, I don't know. I just feel like there's so much that I want to get done and what I've been put here to do. And I think that goes back to that motivation and that internal drive is like, there was a video I saw of, I want to say Toni Morrison, and she was like, you have kids, you have jobs, you have dreams, and those attack you every single day. But what don't you want to have die inside of you? Then you have to work to be able to get that out to the world. And there's just so much and so much to contribute and so much to be able to share and projects and just leaving that legacy and not having it die inside of me. For me, that is the go, go, go. Now, I do know how to stop. Like I know tonight about 7:00. We're going to take we're going to do all the things. We're going to get in the chair with the meditation. And I'm not leaving my bed till Sunday. I have things to do. But tomorrow is your day. We're going to shift Sunday to Saturday. And we're just going to sit and relax because I've flown to the East Coast twice.
In the past 2 weeks.
And I've seen midnight more times than I care to. But I know and everyone's like, okay, make sure you stop. Oh, no. You ain't got to tell me. I already know. Like there's stuff in the house for the kid. The dog has food. Y'all two work it out.
Right.
Argue amongst yourselves outside of my room because I'm locking my door.
Right.
And y'all can do what you do.
Right.
But understanding it is that individual experience and how do you finding what that is for you and then how do you implement that on a regular basis.
Right.
Yeah. Your piece does not have to look like anybody else's.
Absolutely.
And the number one thing I would tell anybody, and I told my daughter this really early on, you are not in competition with anybody on this planet.
No.
Other than yourself, better than you were yesterday.
If you choose to be in competition with yourself.
That's it.
Because we carry a lot of baggage that does not belong to us.
Oh,
it does.
And that is another thing that I'm always saying. I don't carry baggage for people.
At all.
I am
no bag lady.
Not for myself. Not for myself and not for you.
No regrets. I don't believe in regrets. I'm going to do the best that I can at that moment and I'm going to hand it over to the other people and
whomever.
God and whatever.
God, the universe.
Okay, and can
whatever
we talk
you
about
believe
being
in.
unapologetic though?
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Because
yes.
it's so easy to just be like, Well, I mean, I'm sorry. No,
Because
I'm
we
not
always
sorry.
do.
I'm not sorry.
I'm
Because
not
we do.
sorry.
Because we have been conditioned, like
to believe that you have to
like the
apologize.
curse of a
You can
black woman
empathize.
is that you are supposed to be all things to every mofo walking the
You
planet.
can't.
No,
You gotta be to yourself
first.
How do you show up for yourself
Yes.
first? And what does that mean? And how do you pour into? And again, going back to finding that community, and not the ones that are going to kill you and leave you in an island in your body somewhere. As mothers and grandmothers said, not everybody is your friend.
Not
right?
everybody
so
is your
and
friend.
people are jealous of you and hating on you that you don't even know, which again beats down what is the energy, right? Going back to that, and what is their intention for you?
Let me stop you for
and
1
yourself.
second.
Yes,
I know that you're big on that, so I know that your children are fine. I'm big on that, so my kid is fine. I taught my daughter that very early.
Oh yeah.
And I used to go at it with my ex-husband, because one of the things that she is a single child, and flitty and running and dancing and this and all kinds of things, right?
Mhm.
So you and me, I don't know about you, but we've had similar childhood. And when the food is put in your face, you eat your meat first because you got siblings, and they go, "You done with that?"
Oh no, my
Steal
brother and
your
I just
food,
had a conversation about
right?
a wing story.
So we
We'll
know
talk
about
camera.
When, so Devin,
Before it even got to the table, my brother used to eat it. We got one brother that would eat everybody's stuff.
So my daughter was raised as a single child, right? So you
don't have to fight anybody.
It would take her like 3 hours to finish her meal.
Yeah.
Whatever it is,
Because
right?
there's no rush.
And I never one time told her when she said, "I'm done."
You're done.
I didn't ask her, "Are you sure?"
Mm-hmm.
Or, "No, you got to eat some more." Never.
Mm-hmm.
And I would always get into it with my ex-husband because he would do that. "Oh no, 2 more bites, Deb. 3 more bites." And I said, what you are teaching her is how not to trust her instincts. She knows when she's full. And I would always tell her, "You're done?" I said, give her less food if you're concerned about her wasting food.
Right.
But do not give her too much. And when she says, "I'm done," you argue with her. And I see parents doing that with children. Well, you don't know, you're not sure. Why?
Right.
Just because they're small, they can't have a sense of what their correctness for them is. So early on in her life, I said, never doubt yourself. If you're thinking this and you're feeling this, lean into it and go with it. The whole world is going to tell you you're wrong.
Absolutely.
But you have to know how to believe in yourself and stand firm. Don't let people
that. Yeah. And there's a quote that your mom should be your first cheerleader and not your first bully.
That part.
And so for me, we talked about my food autism, right? And so my mom made beans. My father would drive on the weekend, and she loved cooking. So she would make some banging meals on Sunday through Thursday, Friday, some pizza, Saturday, Sunday with some beans. And I don't eat beans. And so navy beans, butter beans, lima beans, rice. I don't eat that, right? So every Saturday night, it would just be like, and my brother one night was like, "You're torturing her. Like, let her go to bed." Because I'm stubborn. But it did help me in life because I'm not eating that. Well, no.
Stubborn?
I am very stubborn. I am strong-willed, determined, and focused.
Never thought that. Never.
And it started young.
Confidence.
It started young.
You got confidence.
It started young. And I remember going to the pediatrician because my son wasn't eating something, and she was like, "Oh, just put it in the refrigerator, pull it next morning." Clutch the pearls. Never.
Clutch the pearls.
Why would I do that? If he's not going to eat it for dinner, we're going to serve it to you cold in the morning. And I mean, I understand where it came from, not having enough and not being, not wanting them to starve, but he's going to be okay. And we'll figure something else out to do. But I knew he's very much like me. He's not going to do it either. So why are we, you got to pick your battles, right?
There's just a lot of, in this culture and in the Black culture in particular, there's just a lot of because I'm an advocate for children because I'm like, it's burnt into my consciousness how difficult it was to be a child.
Absolutely.
And how you didn't have a voice and nobody wants to listen to you. And literally they would tell you, children should be seen heard. Get away from. What kind of nonsense is that to tell?
I'm going to tell you a story right quick. So when I ended up living with my biological mother from 5 to 7, horrible 2 years of my life, traumatic, had to go to therapy for it, all those things. She rests in peace. Have done the forgiveness. But the judge came to me and he said, "Who do you want to live with?" And I was like, "I want to live with my father." And he still was going to give me to my biological. And then she said, "Ronald Reagan told me to get custody."
And that did it.
But if she had not made that statement, I would not be alive today because I would not have made
vulnerable.
it. We know.
Children are vulnerable.
They're little people. So it's like, give them the respect and understand.
And can we go back to that? They're little who?
People.
Exactly.
People.
Exactly. They are people.
In our culture, they're invisible.
Yes.
Children are treated, and it's the diaspora. I'm certain. I don't know anybody else, but I'm sure if we talk to the people in the homeland, they'll say the same thing. Yeah, because they were like, go sit in the corner and don't say anything.
Yeah, but it was a cultural thing. It's a cultural conditioning.
Thing. Yeah.
And I even see it because I kind of conditioned my son a little bit. Well, I condition my kids quite a bit. However, on this aspect, like I'm seeing it when he's dealing with his little one right now. She's 4, and she is
giving it to
a whole other level.
Firecracker,
giving it to her.
A firecracker. Yes. And like she doesn't want to eat, and I'm like, no, she doesn't want to eat what you want to give her. I said, what does she want to eat? And he was like, all she want to do is eat chicken nuggets. I said, okay, so what's wrong with that?
Chicken nuggets.
I said, is she eating? I said, she's not losing weight.
Vitamins.
I was like, she likes the protein shakes, the protein drinks. Give her that to supplement so that, she get everything else. I said, as long as she's eating something, she's fine. And when her stomach starts to touch her back, I promise
she'll come get something to eat.
She's gonna come get something to eat.
It's the imposing, it's the autocratic way children are treated.
Like they don't have a choice.
Like they don't have a choice. Like they, like it.
But they chose to come here. But they chose to come to this planet.
And you chose to help them get here.
And you chose to help them. And now they done lost it.
So I think teaching young people how to trust themselves, how to trust their voice, how to trust their instincts is starting at the foundation of shifting this whole wellness idea. And what does that mean to you? Because I think when you say wellness, most people are just thinking about just the physical wellness, but the emotional wellness contributes to whether or not you are physically.
All of it. Physical,
it is.
Spiritual, financial.
They said, you give me a baby and by 7, I'll give you a man, right? That's it. But that's in the East, right? And so because the East know that those first 7 years are so critical and important because they literally lay the foundation for the rest of that child's life. Of that person's life. Let's change it. That little person's life.
That's a person.
That it lays the foundation for the rest of their lives. And so, so
Fantastic, ladies.
Wellness. That's a lovely conversation on wellness.
I love getting with you, ladies. I just love how we just flow so well.
It's amazing.
We are deliberately trying to do whatever little bit we can do to shift the energy. I mean, it's happening anyway, whether we acknowledge it or not. But to sort of, if anybody out there did not have any kind of support and you're wondering if you should do this or that and you don't have anybody to talk to, look to us. Matter of fact, call us if you need to. I answer all phone calls for the most part.
Please don't call me.
You can email me.
You can email me if you want
on Instagram, LinkedIn. Don't call me. I can tell you right now, I don't answer on unknown people.
I'll pick up the phone. I'll be a therapist.
No, she'll be your life coach.
Call her.
Call her. Don't call me.
If you want it in writing, you can write one of us.
Right. I'll answer your emails and all your other stuff, but don't call me.
But all jokes aside, I think a part of what everybody's responsibility is what you always do. Show up for people, help people, give advice. Let me show you how to do that. Because I think we underestimate the amount of people that do not have that. Like, this is another weird thing, and then we're going to end this. I see a lot of young people online, and the first thing they say is, I don't have any friends.
And that's so tough.
And that is such a foreign thing to me. And again, Devin mentioned that one time. She was like, I don't have friends like you have friends. I mean, she goes, I don't like for some, and I was just like, oh my God, I feel so bad because my community of women friends
is strong.
Yo!
And goes back. I have a friend from 6th grade.
Yes!
And 2. I have
friends people that I've known for 40 years. Yeah. So,
okay.
So not everybody has friends. So that's what we're saying, that, you might not have anybody to talk to.
But that's don't like that way for the you don't know what you don't know.
Yes.
Okay, so
let's go into that.